Hello, my name is Faith Zamora, and today we're going to be diving into The Yellow Wallpaper. So, The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilmans is a short story about a woman's deteriorating mental health and her seemingly obsessive fixture of the yellow wallpaper in the room that she's in. It demonstrates and marks her slow descent into a full psychosis. Now, okay, so what is psychosis exactly? Psychosis is a term used to describe a group of symptoms that can affect a person's mind and cause them to lose touch with reality. So, now let's get started. This short story begins with a woman and her husband being away on a short summer trip to a summer estate. And the reason they're on this trip is because her husband, who is also her physician, John, he suggests he gives her the rest cure to help her with her depression. It could be postpartum. I think it might be a little bit postpartum, but yes. So her husband is also her doctor, and he cares for her, and he also cares for her. So yeah. Um, like I said, they move into this estate, and purely it was with the intentions to help her get over her depression. And she mentions a newborn baby, but John dismisses her as the rescue is purely only to be given rest. So she's moved to this top room of this house. It's a large room with a large window. Surrounding the room is yellow wallpaper. And immediately we can see that she has a certain distaste with this wallpaper, and it's sort of contradictory because when we first think of the color yellow, it's not something that's distasteful, but something that's more of an enjoyment. So she spends her days and nights in this room wanting only to write, but being told not to because the rescue. She has her writing hindered. She can't do physical activity. She's just supposed to rest. I can imagine how troubling that is. And after much time in this room, the narrator seems to start seeing a woman behind the walls. And I know what you're thinking, that's crazy. It is crazy. Uh, the walls of a room, she sees um, another woman trapped behind these walls. Um, the ugly yellow wallpaper. She explains that the pattern changes and it moves, and she feels as if she's being constantly watched. After countless nights and restless nights, her patient just is overgrowing, and one night when John's away, she fully believes that she can see the woman behind the wall. And when Jenny tries to let John in, he sees her just crawling around all over the floor, just reaching that full state of psychosis. Now, uh, after that was just a short little summary of the story, but in order to understand its inner workings, I just want to highlight a little bit about Miss Gilman herself. She was born July 3rd, 1860 in Hartford, Connecticut. She was an American feminist, lecturer, writer, and she published stuff. She was a leading theorist in the women's movement. She was married in May of 1884 to Charles Dubuque Stetson. And after this marriage, she later learned that this domestic marriage route was something that's not for her, and she was just totally unfit to be a wife. So, after a year or so of her marriage, she was diagnosed with melancholia, which is essentially a form of depression. Uh, just that, just with that being said, we can already see there are a lot of similarities between the narrator of our book and Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And at the time of the publishing, women were very far away from the rights that we have today. Very, very far in years. And like I said, she was an advocate for that. So that's something she strongly believed in. So women were seen as incapable, emotional, and overall completely just misunderstood, serving only the opinions of men around them and none for themselves. So we can greatly see how Charlotte used her own story and experience to formulate the narrator's own perspective, and in a way, I think that she is the narrator herself. I mean, it's a semi autobiography. So yes, this displays a lot of her own life. The way she goes about it, formulating this perspective, is by placing a grand emphasis on the yellow wallpaper itself. So the yellow wallpaper very fittingly emphasizes the struggles that women faced in the 19th century. The significance of this wallpaper is that it serves as a symbol for our society and the and the patriarchy at the time. Our unnamed protagonist, after much time, just behind in the room, constantly searching its pattern and trying to find sense in its convoluted allure, just can't make sense of the insensible. The yellow wallpaper symbolizes her entrapment due to the limited roles that women were allowed to fulfill in the 19th century, and something that also symbolizes this is the color yellow. So initially, it brings a feelings of joy, like I said earlier. When I think of yellow, I think of summer, I think of sun, I think of joy from inside out, and I really think it's really cool because her take on the color is that it's disgusting, it's distasteful, and I think she uses this in a sort of way to add tension to the atmosphere, as it just further emphasizes the narrator's disconnect from reality, and her own perspective is just so far gone from the people around her. So also we see the narrator shift from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So she used these diary entries to tell her own story from her own perspective. And throughout the story, we see her gradual reflect and descent into madness. In the beginning, she praises the Ham Mansion, but she dislikes wallpaper, like we already knew. Um, she becomes obsessed with the paper, and then she fakes improvement so that she can solve its mystery. She believes she needs to stay in the house because of the wallpaper and even being fears forced to leave. Now, after going over all this story was amazingly written, and it allows the narrator's perspective allows for us readers to live sort of vicariously through her. We can empathize with her, we can sort of see it from her experience, and her lack of autonomy along with her mental state stuck in her room led her to just bend over backwards trying to decipher a sense of reality. Reasoning um there's no reasoning, she couldn't find any sort of reason, and it ultimately drove her to madness. And in order for readers to enjoy this, they must appreciate these certain aspects and the usage of symbolism that portray this piece of literature all too well. And that is all that I have today. So thank you for listening. And